fellow human light beings. This is Mahadev, the Thunder Wizard. It is my distinct pleasure to be speaking to you today. All right, so today we're going to talk about 5 specific things you can do. If you're tired of waiting around for 5D, if you're tired of waiting around for the Ascension process, for the Awakening, for the solar flash, whatever words you use for that, we're going to talk about 5 things you can do today to help bring that about. Hello, yes, I am Mahadev, the Thunder Wizard, and welcome to the channel. So, I shared with you guys yesterday, I had a pretty big personal awakening event myself, where a big chunk of resistance that I had been programmed with my whole life had been released. And it's a result of doing all of the things that I have been telling you guys that I do and that I suggest that you do as well. So just in case you're new to the channel, here's what I need you to do, especially to get the most out of what I teach. Subscribe, like, comment. Go to the free playlist section. It won't cost you anything. Click on the Maoshan Qigong playlist, the Interdimensional Meditation playlist, and the 12 Steps to 5D. Do at least one thing from 1 or 3 of those playlists every day. While you're doing that, I need you to subscribe to the Warrior 90-Day Lightning Qigong, which you can find at the website thunderwizard.com. You know, somebody left a comment on the channel. That sounds very woo-woo to me. And I totally understand that, and I appreciate that. And if you've spent any time on my channel, and if you're new, you haven't, of course, you know that I am all about practical results. I don't do or teach anything that I personally can't feel and experience. My main focus is to give the human race the most powerful energetic transformation experience possible. So if you think this is all a bunch of woo-woo, you won't hurt my feelings. But if you do what I just suggested, if you go to those 3 playlists, do the Maoshan Qigong, the Interdimensional Meditation, and 12 Steps to 5D, you're going to find out how woo-woo it is. But of course you don't know that because you're new to the channel. If you're not new to the channel and you haven't done any of those things, well, then there you go. You get what you put effort into. So we're going to talk about the 5 things that you can do to hasten this 5D awakening. Bring it now. Again, as I said, something happened with me a week or so ago, and I awoke to the life that I'm living. It's true that I've put a huge amount of effort into having the life that I have and to be as healthy and happy and prosperous as I am. And I especially have worked very hard to learn how to intend my exact reality without compromise and without lying to myself. You know, I make fun of the new agey people, you know, for right or for wrong. I make fun of the people who go to, you know, Zohar the Magnificent and do the, you know, those seminars where you do a lot of deep breathing and you start talking about how wonderful life is, and you sit on the edge of your bed and you try and feel the emotions that come with being a millionaire because you think that somehow millions of dollars will come to you if you build up an emotion. But there actually is a science, and that's what it is. It's not religion. It's not, you know, forcing yourself to create an emotion that you might not have. It's a science. It is a specific path of actions that transform you and allow you the knowledge, the secret knowledge, to know how to command the matrix, because the matrix will serve you, but only if you know how to command it. And if you don't understand what's necessary in order to get the matrix to look at you as God, as opposed to just another object in the matrix, if you don't know how to do that, then if you're doing the wrong things, you could be spending your whole life spinning your wheels. So I'm here making a grandiose claim. I've learned how to do that. And I could go into all of the, I could brag on all the different things that I've healed in myself, changed in my life. Having said that, there was still a big source of resistance that was part of my programming. I'm hoping that it was the last deeply seated self-devaluation program from 3D and from my family. We'll find out. Life is still life, but one of the things that happened is it just sort of like the veil was lifted from my eyes, and I became aware that my surroundings looked different. I mean, it was the same surroundings. It's not like, things were out of place, but I felt so much joy. There wasn't any of that negative, self-talk that blocks it. And the colors were different, and I had a closer connection to the plants, the water, and I live in paradise. I live in absolute paradise. I was just out surfing this morning, and I have to pinch myself because I'm not only living in paradise with great surfing. There's none of the garbage that you find in the really, heavily populated, places like Hawaii and, North Shore of Oahu and, that kind of stuff. There's none of that. It's very laid back. There's very few people, but it's got all of the benefits, at least from my perspective. So I am having this experience, and it's not like I'm high. It's not like I have had these experiences where higher dimensional beings have shown me what 5D is going to be. They've shown it to me twice. They've said, we're going to take you to 5D. I didn't go to a different place. What ended up happening is my frequency shifted, and there was so much DMT flowing in my brain, and I wasn't doing any psychedelics. DMT is a natural, everybody who's in 5D, their brain is just completely filled with DMT. And I was having that happening all day long, but it was something that was imposed and given to me. It wasn't something that came naturally from where I was. Well, so what's happening now is I'm not swimming in DMT. I'm not having that kind of a trip, but I am feeling much more happy, much more free. And when those negative self-devaluation thoughts and emotions start to creep in, I'm able to go, no, we're not doing that today. And I know what to focus on. So I'm going to tell you 5 things that you can do which will help you, hopefully, to achieve that same experience. So let's get right into that. See, where am I going? Right here? Yeah. All right, 5 things you can do to awaken to 5D now. Focus only on your authentic happiness. This is extremely important. It sounds simple, but it is it is simple. It is incredibly simple. But it might not be the easiest thing to do for some of us. And that has to, and I won't take up all of the time to talk about it. You've heard me talk about it. If you haven't, keep searching the channel. You'll hear me talk about it, especially learning to understand the shamanic secret commandment to a perfect life. By the way, that can be found at my books, michaelwilliamdenny.com. I have a lot of books on there. The most important, the blueprint for how to intend 5D that not only humans can use, but I know for a fact higher dimensional beings, even the gods themselves. This is their playbook. This is how all awakened conscious beings, even in higher dimensions, they all do this. So that book is The Shamanic Secret Commandment to a Perfect Life. You can get that at michaelwilliamdenny.com. So understanding that, you understand what it is that truly makes you happy. And as we have discussed many times, being happy is not an option. If you are not living and taking action and aware of what you truly want, you are guaranteed to be miserable. And every single human on the planet who is not at their highest state of success, happiness, and joy. We could get into all of the specific details and symptoms of why this and what specific things they're doing right and wrong. But if you peel all that back and you get to the core of it, the core is very simple. People who are less than completely happy are not living their deepest passion, their deepest overwhelming joy, authentically 100%. It's just that simple. It doesn't matter what, you're an alcoholic, you're a drug addict, you're a codependent, you're just an average person following the narrative, you're a spiritual person but you haven't learned this, you're still in a relationship you can't get out of, you're doing a job you don't like, oh, I have to deal with kids, I have this mental illness, I have this physical disease. The core of all of it, and I know this sounds oversimplified, but as I said, it's easy to acknowledge, it's not necessarily that easy to accomplish, but it can be done. The core of it is you are fighting with what your soul wants to do. This world, this narrative is continuing to try and convince you that being blissfully happy is at best an option. Religion tells you you don't have to worry about being happy. Carry your cross and be a good person. Sacrifice yourself. Religion tells you to literally get on your face and humble yourself before God and do God's will. People say all the time, I just want to know what God's will for me is. I know the answer to that question. God's will for you is that you are ridiculously, blissfully fulfilled and happy. And if you're not, then, it's not an option. It's a commandment. There aren't 10 commandments. There's only one. And that one commandment is, thou shalt fulfill your deepest desires. And so you have to change your assumption of who you are and your relationship to the universe. If you believe that God is out there and you're this little creation of God and your job is to please the Almighty, you're going to have to flip that on its head. Because if there is a God and you want to see it as something outside of you, it is your soul and the desires that your soul carry. Imagine God, you can imagine this, you'd have to change the Jesus story all around because his focus was the complete opposite of what I'm saying. He came to throw himself away and be abused and die for others. And that, unfortunately, isn't true. There's no truth to that. If God, and I'm saying if because I actually believe that we are all God, but if you don't want to see it that way, that's okay. But I want you to imagine hypothetically, if God were to incarnate, what God would do the things that made him or her blissfully crazy happy. And before you start asking, well, I can't always be focused on myself. Yes, you can. Because it's also a lie that there's a distinction between your happiness and other people's happiness. There is no distinction. There is no difference. There is no separation. We are all connected. When you are happy, you send happiness to all other beings. If you're doing something that you think makes you happy, that is actually being destructive to others, you're lying to yourself. That's people say, well, what if my deepest desire is to slam heroin in my neck? no, your soul, I guarantee you, your soul doesn't want to slam heroin in your neck. Your soul does not want to do anything that's harmful to others. If that's some weird form of, 3D entertainment, being addicted to porn, video games, or some weird kinky thing that's actually harmful to others, that's not your soul talking. That's your 3D human, and you have to learn the difference between the two. That's why it's not so easy. It can be very simple, but sometimes it's not easy figuring out the difference between your 3D programming and your soul. So this is what all religion, true spirituality, wants, which is why the spiritual practices that I don't lump into religion, like the shamanic practices, Vedic religions, meditation, Eastern practices, these are all about self-empowerment, self-awakening. And what is the self? It's the soul. So focus only on your authentic happiness. Focus on gratitude list all day. So I've talked about one of the first things you should do when you wake up in the morning, especially if, like has been the case for me in the past, you wake up and your head is already giving you just a list of all these horrible things. That's one of the things that has happened to me in different parts of my life, is that, I would have these horrible dreams. I mean, not nightmare, just dreams that were just unhappy, unpleasant. And I'd wake up just feeling horrible and devalued, and that would start my day. And so as I go through my day, I'd be looking for who I need to fight against, who I need to defend, who I need to attack, who I need to compete with. And that's a very specific, 3D reality for a lot of people. So I recommend that the first thing you do when you get up in the morning is you become grateful, even before you get out of bed. As soon as you open your eyes, first thing you should do is go, do I have all my limbs? Yes, I'm so grateful for that. Is my heart beating? Yes, I can feel it. Are my lungs working? Yes. My eyes working? Yes. Are all of my fingers working? My body functions? Great. I am grateful for that, because listen, there's nothing worse than that. There's nothing worse than being sick, being crippled, being incapable of functioning. Nothing worse. I'd rather be dead. So that's something you can wake up to every morning and be grateful for. Okay, you might have other issues. You might have aches and pains. Maybe you've got some illness you're working through. All right, but here are all the things that are working. You have a bed you sleep in. Yep. You have a roof over your head. Yep. You've got a vehicle. You've got food in the refrigerator. Yep. Okay, maybe you got some debt. Maybe you got a job you don't like. Maybe you got... Okay, but what are all the things you do have? Focus on that. When you focus on that, that creates a portal. I'm dead serious. When you focus on the things that you have, that you're appreciative of, even the little things, it creates a portal. It creates a portal that brings in higher dimensional energy. And just being grateful, and I'm getting chills talking about it, just being grateful opens the door for the quantum field, or God if you want to call it, to start coming in and fixing the other stuff that isn't working so good. So start that. And then bring yourself back to that every time you can. You're going through your day and a negative thing pops up in your mind. You go back to the things you're grateful for. Now, more than likely, you have a lot of other things that you are grateful for. Again, it's amazing to me. I've lived here for years, off and on. And it took me, the first year, it took me an entire year just to kind of open up and look around and see where I was. I go, oh my God, this place is amazing. Because there was so much negativity, I couldn't get past that self-talk. I could only see so much. And so one of the things I do now is, as I'm going through my day and that programming kicks in and the thoughts start to jump in about, this is a problem, I'm no good at this, and blah, 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 I stop and I literally just look around. And I go, wow, there's a palm tree. Wow, there's a pandanus tree. Wow, look at that. That ocean is, I could go swimming in that ocean right now. It's 80-degree water and the sun is shining. And look at those parrots. They're like purple and blue. What the hell is that? And I'm not thinking about any of that ego garbage of what does that person think about me, and that one person said this, and you remember 5 years ago when that person said that. So bring yourself back to that, anything that gives you gratitude. Again, it creates a portal, and it's powerful enough to literally shift you into another reality. It is that simple. 5D is a frequency, it's not a place. When you shift your frequency, everything around you will shift. And along the way, you'll have the ability to experience what I am, which is my reality isn't all that different, but it sure is a lot more cool and wonderful and beautiful and brighter and happier. And I didn't really notice how wonderful that was. And you're just that, you're in a different place already. Identify and release resentments. So unfortunately, I wish it were true. I wish the love and light crowd were right, that you could just decide to be 100% happy right now. I wish I could tell you that were true. That does become easier and easier as you continue to do the work. But the fact of the matter is that we have, if you're a human being and you've been incarnated into the third dimension, you do have a third dimensional programming. It is a programming that is so deeply ingrained in you, you physically, emotionally, psychologically, and your nervous system believes that you will die if you don't live in all those negative thoughts, if you don't fight, if you don't defend yourself, if you're not angry, if you don't find out all the bad things and the bad people you have to protect yourself from. You know, there was somebody that's no longer in my life that, one day really went nuts and started attacking people. People that were close to her. She started ruthlessly attacking them. And her justification for it was, this has always served me, this feeling that something is wrong with that person because she's been abused or whatever. And so the moment that she has a feeling that there's something wrong with somebody, even if it's somebody close to her, she just decides to destroy them and kick them out. She says, that has served me well and protected me in life. Now, this person's no longer in my life. They haven't asked my opinion. If they were, I would say, well, it certainly has the potential to protect you from potentially dangerous people. But what we know for a fact is that it gets rid of everybody in your life just because you have a feeling. And there's a possibility that you're getting rid of people who actually love you and care about you. I was one of those people. So that feeling, that self-justification of holding on to anger, it's not serving you. It's keeping you in a lower vibration, lower frequency. So identify and release resentments. Now, you're not going to be able to just mentally choose to do that. Unfortunately, I wish that were true. Maybe there are things, I'm getting better and better to be able to just decide what I want to focus on and what I want to experience. It's getting easier and easier for me to choose where I'm putting my focus and my energy. But if you've got deeply held resentments based on trauma, you're not going to just be able to talk yourself out of it. That's called denial. And that's, again, love and light. Everything is love and light. As long as I'm smoking this weed, as long as I'm taking this, this psychedelic, as long as I'm, doing all these things that make me happy, everything's fine. And then, if you notice those people, and again, especially, I hope this doesn't hurt anybody's feelings, but especially people who are big into THC, these are the people who will explode on you the most. They will talk about how cool and laid back they are, but they're the most passive aggressive. And when they get mad, they explode, and it usually just happens out of nowhere. Same with the codependent people who talk the love and light. Everything is wonderful and I'm just wonderful. And then what ends up happening is at some point they can't push it down any longer and they explode. So I don't want you to have that experience. So the way that you can avoid that is by doing the 12 steps to 5D. You don't know what that is? You can go onto the playlist and do it. Start doing them. especially doing step 4 through 9. Steps 4 through 9 will completely shift your mind, your body. You know, you've got tracks in your mind that your mind goes to, and you can actually dismantle those. And when you're able to truly say, I am free of resentments, everything changes, and that intensifies the portal you create to higher dimensions. So identify and release your resentments. Here's something that anybody can do no matter where you are. Do an anonymous good deed. Now there are some people I say that they should do that every day. So if you're somebody who's miserable most of the time, and if you feel like the universe is holding out on you, I'm running into people like that in my life, that they believe that the universe is holding out on them. They never give anything to anybody unless they know they're going to get something back, and they're always just empty of energy and they're drained all the time. Well, that's because you don't know what it means to truly give. That's okay. We're not trained to do that. Truly, the only person in third dimension who truly knows how to give unconditionally 24/7 is mothers. Mothers of infants. Healthy mothers of infants. They know what that is. So do an anonymous good deed. Now, an anonymous good deed means you do something for another person that makes them happy. It's not just, I did something for them, I gave them this, I did that for them. Well, that's great, but did they want that? So you have to spend a little bit of time getting out of yourself to know, what do I think this person would like? And then you have to do that, and you can't let them know it was you. So whatever that is. And they may not even know that you did something for them. So it could be that you do something that makes their day better and they don't even realize it. But whatever it is, you can't get any credit for it. So that's an anonymous. Now, if it doesn't count if you get credit for it. This is truly unconditional giving. And this is the great thing. This is the lesson. When you give unconditionally, you get. Now you start learning how to get energy. And for those of you who know the Fehu rune, I teach a lot about that, and the Gebo rune. Gebo rune means equal exchange of energy. But again, the people who talk about I'm drained all the time, I give to others, nobody gives back to me, it's because when they give, there's a price tag associated with it. That's not an equal exchange of energy. That's a one-sided. But a truly equal exchange of energy is when you give unreservedly without any recompense. Then the universe gives back to you, either through that person directly or in some other way. But anybody who talks about, like, you know, so many people on YouTube who talk about being super empaths, they talk about being starseeds, they talk about being the chosen ones. They'll talk about how they give to others all the time, but if you listen, they'll also talk to you about how it's a big sacrifice and how much it drains them. They say it in a way they're carrying their cross, they're a victim, or they do it to aggrandize themselves, make themselves look better, superior to others. This has nothing to do with giving. Giving means you do it because it makes you happy. You don't know how to give and make yourself happy? This is where the anonymous gift is helpful. So the idea is you're learning how to give unreservedly and then learn how that empowers you and gives you happiness and how the universe gives back to you. It's crazy how that happens. All right, so that's number 4. Number 5, take at least 3 actions towards your deepest desires. It takes, if you really want to get something out of the day, take 3 actions every day towards your deepest desire. This is important. We talk about this in the Shamanic Secret, but when you start taking actions towards what your soul wants, your resistance is going to come up. And you will talk yourself out of it. So you can't do that. You have to be a warrior about this. You have to, I mean, and it can get so bad, some people can feel suicidal. The resistance will be so intense that when they go to take actions on their soul desire, they might feel like they just want to die. I've felt like that so many times. I've just wanted to crawl in bed and just, you know, watch YouTube and eat Cheetos all day. But I don't. I go, wow, this is just a feeling, and I have a list, because sometimes the resistance is so intense you can't even bring yourself to think about what you're supposed to do. So when you're not feeling that, when you're feeling some inspiration, write down a list of things you need to take actions to achieve your greatest desire. And take 3 actions. If you can only take one, take one. But I believe in, I believe in really committing to this. So 3 actions is not a lot. Do 3 actions a day towards what your soul truly wants. And if you need more energy, again, I want to make it clear, I understand what it's like if you've been traumatized. The most difficult thing to do, and I mean this, I'm not exaggerating, the most difficult thing to do for somebody who has been traumatized by life, by relationships, by who knows what, the most difficult thing to do is to take actions towards your true happiness, not your escape, not drugs, not alcohol, not sex, not video games. Those are escapes. Those aren't there. Those don't make you happy. Those just put it off. The things that truly make you happy, when you've been traumatized, the most difficult thing to do is to take action on those things. So I am not minimizing it. If you're one of those people and what I'm saying is frightening to you, the thought of taking actions is something you don't think you can do, you don't know if you have the ability to achieve 5D, to make yourself happy, achieve your soul desire, I understand. And I have some tools for you. So the big 3 to help awaken the pineal gland. The pineal gland is important because the pineal gland is a transceiver. Anybody that has done ayahuasca or DMT and they talk about the experiences they have, it's because they've been actually force feeding themselves DMT, and when that happens, the pineal switches on. So what we want is the pineal to be switched on naturally, because then if you're dependent on an outside chemical to force that to happen, you might have an experience that might change your life. It happens all the time with people who do psychedelics. But there's just as many people who do psychedelics and it doesn't give them any ability to go forward in life. And that's because it's a passive experience. What I'm here to share you is the active experience, where you learn how to fill your body with energy, to fill your body with kundalini, with life force energy, and with the lightning energy of the heart, which you can't find anywhere except on this channel, more than likely. Unless you are able to chase down some Mao Shan master, maybe he'll be able to tell you, but I don't know any other place, certainly no other place on YouTube. When you're able to use those energies, then you start to learn how to flip on the pineal. You start to have some measure of control of when and how that happens. You start to be able to create that same experience, but you're not dependent on the time frame that the chemical gives you. I've never done DMT externally, but I know it doesn't last very long. A few minutes maximum. If ayahuasca may last a long time, but at some point you're gonna come off of it, and then you're stuck back in 3D. I'm telling you that there's a way to experience these things that you have control over, and you can determine how long and how deep those experiences are. And that's all that happens when somebody becomes awakened and leaves this dimension. There's no shortage of legends in many different spiritual practices, even the Christian religion and the ancient Hebrew religion talk about it. You know, when, what's his name? I forget the guy's name in the Old Testament, who, you know, just went to heaven spontaneously. And then, you know, Jesus supposedly, you know, died, resurrected, and spontaneously went to heaven. I won't bag on Jesus for the moment. But if you study Taoism, you will hear many stories, especially if you get into an actual tradition with a lineage. You will hear stories about Master so-and-so, who, when he was achieving his final enlightenment or becoming what they call a perfected immortal, he went up into a cave and he spent, you know, X amount of months and went into a meditative trance and never came out of it. And then one day when his apprentice came to, you know, brush off the dust and make sure that he was okay, the only thing that was left was a pile of clothes, hair, and fingernails. All of the things that were dead, the third dimensional things. The rest of his body, he went to a higher dimension. And you hear stories about, again, the New Testament talks about that, people walking through the wall and being in multiple places at once. That is what happens when you're in a higher dimension. We're talking actual physics here. So what we are talking about, this shift to 5D, is not because you're super righteous. It just means that you've understood the science of frequency, of changing your frequency. And I'm here to tell you that if you can't, like I don't know that I could do it. I certainly haven't been able to do it up till this point. But if you're not able to just think yourself into 5D, great, there's good news. There are tools that you can use that will do it. It's been done for thousands of years in multiple disciplines. The yogis of Asia, of India do it. The Chinese Taoists, the Buddhists in Tibet. There's no shortage of people doing this all over the world. And, you know, going back into societies that, you know, we've forgotten about, the Atlanteans and, you know, whoever else. There were other societies. The people who built the pyramids, trust me, it wasn't Khufu 7,000 years ago or whatever it was. It was somebody, we're talking 30,000 years ago. And the whole thing, there was a whole society and knowledge and understanding that our modern society has lost. And the point of all that is that you can do those. If you do the big three, the lightning qigong, the interdimensional meditation, 12 steps to 5D, I guarantee you will make progress towards that, especially if you do it consistently. If you do it consistently, I guarantee you will start to have success. So anyway, that's my rant for today. Again, this channel is here for you, and I put as, I mean, you're not going to find, I don't think there's any YouTube channel that has anywhere near the amount of free practices that I've given. I just don't think it's possible. And I don't think that there's any place on YouTube that has the level of power that I make available to you for free. Any one of the free practices, for instance, the summoning the immortals qigong, the level of power of that practice, which is free to everybody, you can go look for it on the playlist. That level of power normally would be reserved for the most committed, high-level practitioners in a secret sect. Very likely you might be charged thousands and thousands of dollars just to learn the form, and then you'd be told you can't teach it to anybody. I am teaching this and giving it away for free. If you're really serious about mastering that, this is what the 90-day challenge is about. You can unsubscribe whenever you want. It's cheap as hell. There's really no excuse. And if you want to have the most powerful energy practice I think that's ever been created, that will give you mastery over the 5 elements and give you the ability, if you are able to get to that level, you can walk in a room and with your bare hands you can fight off evil demons, ghosts, the devil himself, if such a being exists. Go here to 923.thunderwizard.com and see what that's all about. But whatever it is, do something, and please take advantage of the practices on this channel. All right, so I'll take a look and see if there's anything worth responding to here. Thunder says hello. Hello, Thundra. Mysa, I don't know if I'm pronouncing that right. M-Y-S-A, she says hello. Hello to you. Cats and Me, honest feeling. I watched one of your older videos about blood over intent, and I did it and felt a shift inside myself and out, feelings of contentment and gratitude. Yeah, see? That's a really old video, and I was just doing clickbait. I was just trying to find ways to get viewers, and there was this thing called blood over intent, which was really whatever, and I created my own version of it based on all of these practices that I've been doing. So this stuff works if you do it. Cats and Me says, I find having less to complain about little by little. That's all that matters. We just have to be going in the right direction. It doesn't matter how far down you've gone. The only thing that matters is which direction are you moving. You're going either in an expansive path towards 5D, or you're contracting, moving away. There's no standing still. If you're just trying to stand still, I guarantee you, you're going backwards. Standing still is like trying to stand still on a melting, snowpack. You're just going to start slipping down the mountain. So you're going to have to go either forward or backward, and you're either going forward or you are going backward. So good for you, Cats and Me. I know, you've been on this channel a long time, and I know that you've got a lot of 3D issues that are very challenging. Most of us would not be able to survive what you have to live through on a daily basis. And you have been making progress and continued progress. And it's because you've been doing the work. So good for you. Let's see. Rochelle says something nice about me. Thank you. Yep. And Cats and Me, you still feel pain, of course. That's why you have to do it every day. Because again, bear in mind, let's remember the 3D matrix inside of us, the 3D programming it thinks that you will die if you don't live in that negativity. Animals out there, wild animals, you can't walk up to, try walking up to a mountain lion and pet it. Try walking up to a hippo and seeing if you can stick your head in his mouth. Their first response is to destroy you or eat you, because their self-defense programming is so strong that they're not going to. So the point is that we've been programmed that way as well, and so all of that negativity is deeply ingrained within us. It's not going to go away without a fight, and it's not going to go away for most people instantaneously until this flash comes. Again, let's create the flash within ourselves. Again, the idea behind the flash, there's two ways to look at it. The solar flash is either something that happens to the world and everybody shifts up, and if that's a case that there is an external event, then that would be an accurate description of this thing happened and everybody shifted up. But another way to look at it, which is equally true, is that the shift happens because enough people created the shift within themselves, and it created a sine wave that went through the collective unconscious, and then human beings intended it. You're still going to have the same experience. One day it'll be there and things will be different, but I'm of the belief that we create things, and this is why at the end of this video, if you're new to the channel, I am going to put this up here for you to read, which is the quantum field meditation. So when we're done with that video, if you haven't done it, do that video, because what happens, what you will find out when you do this meditation, and it's very simple, it's very simple. When you do this, really just this intention practice, what'll happen is you will begin to create in the quantum field a reality. Now that reality is then going to start, the quantum field is going to start pulling in all of the energy and the mass and the consciousness to build what you've intended. In the meantime, you're just going to be walking through your normal 3D life. And then one day, you're going to notice that that thing you intended is now in your life, and that wasn't possible before. So, in the way the RUNE shamans talk about it, they say when you change your intention, the higher self destroys the future reality, and your old reality comes crashing down on your head. And what they're saying is that when you shift your intentions about what you want, the universe is putting together the next moment. The next 5 minutes from now is being built, and you're going to walk into it and think it's just this continuous thing. It's not. Your intentions are creating it. So when you change your intention using the quantum field, all of that construction has to stop, and the builders have to, tear it all down. Your old reality comes crashing down on your head. You might have, next thing you know, all of a sudden you lose your job. All of a sudden your wife leaves you. Something very painful. But this happened to me. I was married, and it wasn't the best of marriages, and I definitely wasn't living my deepest desires. And we were constantly in therapy trying to get things together, and I was resistant to a lot of things. I was resistant to completely committing, to staying in that marriage and all of that. And one day I just decided two things. I decided that I was unwilling to be unhappy anymore. And I made a decision, and I made a list of all of the things I was going to have. I've talked about this in my book, The Shamanic Secret. And I also made the decision that I was going to rededicate myself to my marriage, and I was going to focus on meeting her needs. Now, what ended up happening, within a week, I had packed up my Jeep and was driving away. And what had happened is that literally after doing that, she came to me and was so miserable. And she came to me with a list of demands that were so unreasonable. I said, even God himself couldn't do what you're asking of me. I can't do it. I'm willing to meet you halfway. And she said, no, you have to do all of these things. And I said, I guess we're done. Happened like that. And that's because that wasn't the best relationship for me. So when you get serious about what you want, your old world might come crashing down on your head. You might lose a relationship. Maybe none of those things will happen. But this quantum field meditation can be that powerful. Let's see what else. Somebody else say something here. Okay, let's see what else. All right, somebody giving me some compliments. Thank you. Yes, I mean what I say. She says I'm over delivering it. I really do everything I possibly can. I got my feelings hurt in the last live stream because maybe I misunderstood somebody. I think they were new to the channel, but somebody said something about, what is it about somebody who spends all their time just doing a YouTube channel? From a soul level. And it sounded really devaluing. It sounded like somebody was saying, this is easy. But, I really do. I put so many hours into giving you everything I possibly can. If it weren't for the fact that I had to pay bills, because I do, I got to keep the lights on, I wouldn't have the 90-day challenge or the 923. It's true that those are the advanced things if you really want it, but if it were up to me, I wouldn't do that. When it comes to 5D, I won't have to worry about that. So again, if you really want to help the channel, help yourself. Subscribe to the 90-day challenge, buy the 923, buy my books. I really don't make any money off books, but they're extremely good resources. Anyway, Thank you for saying that. I do work very hard to be as helpful as I can. I really am. It's the only reason I'm here. I'm here for two reasons: to surf in beautiful tropical paradise, and to do everything in my power to help human beings evolve. It's the only two things I'm here in this world doing. All right, I don't see anything else, so we can leave it there. So that's it, my friends. Keep your eyes peeled. I'm going to put this up in a second. So, as always, if the flash don't come and or I don't get beamed up to the Starship Enterprise and or I don't shift out of this frequency and become a perfected immortal, I will see you all very soon. Please take extremely good care of yourselves. Thank you very much.